Welcome back to the City of Caldwell podcast. Today we have Pastor Jim Porter with us, long time Caldwellian here in town, and thanks, Jim, for spending some time with us.
Of course, thank you.
The purpose of today is going to be just kind of hearing from somebody who's been in the Caldwell area for a long time, just to get to know him, his story, but also just, not too many people have been here and been recorded to tell us, what Caldwell has been doing for the past 20 plus years. So it would be good for us to get to know just your perspective, what you've seen, where you see us going as a city, trajectory wise. So anyways, let's start by just, Jim, who are you? Where are you from? What makes you tick? Who is Jim Porter?
Yeah, great. Well, I'm a transplanted Oregonian. I was born in a small town called Lebanon, Oregon, and I'm 67 years old now. And my wife and I, co-pastored a church here in Caldwell. And one of the great gifts that God gave us over the years was He kept our church modest in size. We had opportunities to grow, but a lot of people traveled through our doors. We never really maintained an average attendance of more than 75 or so. But what that does is it creates some gaps in your daily life and daily schedule to where you can become involved in the community. And as a person of faith, you don't just go to minister to the people within your church body or within the walls, as we would often say. You are sent to an entire community. And that was our ethic. Let's get involved in the community. Let's see what good we can do beyond the walls of the church. And God has blessed that and kept us small, but it was for that purpose. Pastoring was a second career for both Sharon and myself. And I came out of a business background, was part of a chain of camera and video stores in Oregon. And we had 18 stores at one point, and we were from Bend to Lincoln City and from Portland to Medford. And my job as general manager was to keep all of them staffed and resourced and made sure that they were meeting their sales goals and things like that. But there came a time when a business environment didn't suit who I was at the core. And I knew I needed to make some changes. In the business world, I'd made way too many compromises of my faith, of my personal integrity and character. And God called me out of that into a role in a church in Salem where we were living at the time. And as churches sometimes do, churches can implode. And after about living 3 or 4 years in that state of chaos, where Sharon and I were the constant people in the middle of the chaos, a pastor who had formerly led the Deer Flat Church by the name of Kay Cole, who was an icon in these parts, he said, "You guys, you've been beat up, you've been wounded. I know a small church in Caldwell, Idaho. Would you like to go take a look?" And so in 2003, the week after Easter, we came over, we looked at the city and immediately fell in love with the Caldwell context. We had hopes and ambitions and dreams of building a great church, a massive church, a growing church, a vibrant church, but God knew that would not be good for our egos, and He led us in a direction that was able to use Sharon's organizational skills and my business skills to create inroads into the community and to be able to bring a kingdom focused, which is religious term for, the world as God wants it to be, bring those elements to bear in this, our adopted hometown. And so little by little, we started getting involved in the community and doing different things and teaching the people of our congregation that it's good to invest in the community that you live in. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I often tell people, we think we have kids. Since we moved to Caldwell and our kids stayed in Oregon and Western Washington, we don't get to see them too often. Our daughter and her family live in Tigard, Oregon, just outside Portland. They have 2 sons, so we've got 2 grandsons there. Our son and his wife live in Tacoma, and they have a son and a daughter. So we've got 4 grandkids, but we don't see them as often as we would like to.
Yeah.
As far as what makes us tick, again, we love the Caldwell context. We love the walkability of the city. When we first moved in 2003, we bought a home in a brand new subdivision off of U-Stick. And after about 10 years, we felt, we're not thriving in this neighborhood. So we bought a 100-year-old farmhouse or old craftsman style house on Arthur Street. And now we are able to walk anywhere we need to. We can walk to the supermarket. We can walk to College of Idaho events. We can walk to the plaza. And it's just been a godsend.
Or walk to City Hall.
Or walk to City Hall like we did this morning. Yeah, and as for our pastimes, Sharon is an avid knitter, an avid reader. She is an evangelist of all things Kindle. And me, I just like creative thinking, creative thoughts, photography. Yeah, just being able to look at things and ask, why is it this way, and is this the best it can be?
So let's segue into that a little bit. So you're the chair, I think, of the Urban Renewal Agency. Okay. So some people are pretty familiar with it, but I think a lot of people are not.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us what the Urban Renewal Agency does, what the aim is of like why it exists, and some of the things that you guys are working on, have worked on, are working on, hope to work on. What does that look like?
Yeah, urban renewal is a tool that governments use to harvest a little bit of increment as an agency creates an area where direct investments are placed in it, either in infrastructure or site preparation or preparing it for further investment by a developer or whatever. It creates a revenue stream that doesn't raise anybody's taxes, but as the value of properties go up, it harvests what the bare ground was worth versus what it's worth now. It doesn't raise the taxes itself, but that's the county's business. But what it does is it creates an avenue to harvest a little bit of income to pay for the roads. So it's not all borne by the taxpayer in bonds and things like that. Caldwell has a rich history, thanks to Mayor Nancolis and some of the forward thinkers back then, Rob Hopper, and in those days, the city council acted as the urban renewal agency. But the building that you're recording this in was a direct benefit of urban renewal investment in an area. Indian Creek Plaza, of course, one of the highly noted ones. Sky Ranch Business Park, again, just an incredible asset for the city now. And every year we are seeing revenues that exceeded our wildest expectations when that was created years ago. Right now we're studying new areas within the city that need investment. In particular, and something that's close to me, is the area from the Plaza District, where we're sitting now, all the way to the freeway. And we have people living in Caldwell that are living in poor and substandard conditions, in my mind. And while the city grows and the city is a place of notoriety, there's a certain part of Caldwell that has seen no investment. And we got to put a stop to that. We truly are our brother's keeper. And if the city is going to maintain balance in the way it grows, one of the ways we're going to be graded and judged is by how we treat the people that are living in such poor conditions. I know that's kind of an awkward way of saying that, but being on the Housing Authority Board as well, we have seen and dealt with some things that are horrific in terms of the way that some of Caldwell's citizens lived. And I know that Brian, your work with the school district has shown a light on student homelessness, and we should not allow that to happen. We keep moving into subdivisions further and further south, further and further east, not quite west so much, but as we grow, we've got to maintain, and we can't lose sight of the people among us who are really suffering. So,
And a lot of them don't realize they're suffering.
no, they don't. But we had a young man speak to the agency back in February, and people can go back to the YouTube video and watch that. But he spoke of living in that neighborhood and saying, this is what my little brother is going to understand as being normal. And I don't want that for my little brother. I want him to see positive movement in this neighborhood where his home is. And so he kind of called us to task, which was necessary, and gave us a target to shoot for.
So you landed on the topic of homelessness.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you see as far as Caldwell? I don't know if I would call it an issue, but like the reality, I guess, of homelessness in this area. What are you seeing? What would you like to see be done, I guess, moving forward?
Yeah, I think the Treasure Valley is an incredible place, and we're isolated from a lot of things. And when I go back to my hometown of Portland, you can't help but be impacted by the reality of homelessness. In our valley, though, homelessness it's not celebrated, and I want to make sure that that's understood the right way. I mean, in very liberal places like Portland or Seattle, it's a state of being, and it's almost esteemed in a certain warped kind of way. In Caldwell, in Nampa, we don't see the homelessness. It's not overt like it is in these other places, or where you're from, my California friend. It's hidden, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And that doesn't mean that Caldwell, being agile and nimble, can't take a leading role in correcting the problem, or at least offering some solutions for those that find themselves homeless but don't want to be homeless. I think this is one of the things that my old hometown wrestles with. There's a large number of people that want to be homeless. But then there's also the reality that a lot of people are not homeless by choice, but either by drugs or mental affliction of some kind, or just bad luck. They need help. What we really need at this point is, and I know this sounds really strange, but we need a little bit more welcoming approach to how we deal with homelessness and homeless people. We won't know them until we see them. And unfortunately, once we see them, we cannot forget them. Because once you see poverty, once you experience walking through the doors of a place where nobody should be living, you can't unsee stuff like that.
Right.
And it's happening right here in our own town. I mean, less than a half mile from us, there are some deplorable conditions that nobody in their right mind would be living in, yet this is what they're forced to, either by coercion or circumstance, or again, those issues that we've already talked about. But Caldwell could take the lead in this state on how we address that. It can be done well, it can be done efficiently, and it can be done with the humanity that it takes to see people as human and valuable and in need of resources that are beyond their reach right now.
Right. Let's go bigger picture now. So scope-wise, you've been here for over 20 plus years. Can you compare and contrast where we are now versus 20 years ago?
Yeah. If I can do it my own way, I think I'm excited. I am truly excited uh, for the trajectory of the city. And I know that a lot of people aren't. A lot of people, it causes them a lot of pain and concern and things like that. The reality is, when we moved here in 2003, the population was 24,682. You know, it's one of those numbers that you don't forget. And now it's 78,000. We did not grow to this size by the residents of Caldwell all of a sudden seeing a spike in their birth rate. It was because people found Caldwell attractive, they found it affordable, they found it vibrant, they saw what was happening within the city, and they said, I want to be there. I think that's exciting. The city councils over the years have created an environment that is attractive now versus unattractive. What will limit Caldwell is a stubborn refusal to want to become provincial and hesitant to growth and not see this as a wonderful opportunity. You know, there are opportunity costs, and one of the costs is if you ignore an opportunity, it might not be back. I am in the pro Caldwell camp, and my wife gets on me all the time about being so negative toward Nampa, but you know, Nampa has its issues. You know, Caldwell is a magnificent place, and all of our attention needs to be focused on how to manage growth, how to anticipate growth. One of the things that's happened throughout the valley is that urbanization came way quicker than anybody ever expected. And so we've been in this reactionary kind of framework, and now we need to find the best minds in the world to help us, you know, see the way forward. You know, how do we plan for growth? How do we accept growth? How do we make sure that the schools are funded and turning out students that want to stay here, and all the things that come with it? But the trajectory is I think very positive.
Right. I think some people think you could turn off the faucet of growth sometimes. Like, we want to stop growing.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it's a matter of stopping the growth. It's kind of like almost like stopping like the waves from the ocean. You know, it's going to grow.
Yeah.
But you want to grow well, right? So what does that kind of look like from your perspective?
I think, you know, when you go to the candidate forums and listen to the candidates debate some of the questions, one of the questions that they always seem to get is, how do we keep our young people from growing up and then going to college out of state and then never coming home? And one of the things, as you grow, you have to be adding more amenities across the board. There have to be things to do in your off time that are engaging and exciting and fun. When we first moved here in 2003, again, if you wanted to have lunch after church on Sunday, you had to go to Nampa or Meridian to find options, good options. Now you don't have to. But we have, let's say we have significantly less in terms of amenities than a Meridian or a Boise does. We need to build that base to where people don't have to leave the city to have a good time. And the plaza has certainly done this. It's helped with that. But we need more entertainment venues. We need more recreational venues. We need more sports leagues. We need more, you know, parks. We need more fun.
I think the thing that I hear from some of the students and the young adults is just more opportunity for kind of more like professional kind of jobs in the area. I guess when I think of professional jobs, I think of, you know, some of the schools, maybe the hospital, maybe some spots in the city, certain departments. But I don't know. What do you think about that? Adding professional kind of work jobs, I guess, out here.
Yeah, it's important. But at this point, it's not our identity. You know, we have brought hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of manufacturing jobs to the city, which are important. Um, but with the rising cost of housing, even a highly paid manufacturing position doesn't necessarily get you into a house. You do have to have those professional level jobs that pay a salary where people can afford to live here. Um, it's a conundrum. We need more quality affordable housing, not just anybody can throw up a cheap house and sell it for $350,000, but we need quality that will help attract some of those folks, and then maybe if we know we want more professional level jobs, we seek out those kinds of industries that are looking to relocate to a better environment and attract them here.
Right.
I don't know the ag industry like many do, but we're looking at the sciences and, like you said, healthcare and things like that to really bring in those kinds of jobs, in my mind. But you're the expert on that.
Oh, I feel like I'm not really an expert on almost anything these days. Well, my
Well,
daughter tells me that, at least. Yeah, well, thank you for that insight. Let me ask you this, to kind of change directions a little bit, to pivot. What's like a gold nugget or two from your time being here that you'd like to share, if any? Like something that's like, I don't think a lot of people know this, or not too many people talk about that.
some of the stories of Caldwell's resourcefulness. I mean, somebody had the clever idea the bridges over Indian Creek downtown came out of the old Idaho Youth Ranch building. I mean, to repurpose something like that and treat what some people would see as building debris as a resource to be built upon, and not lose that tiny little sliver of its heritage is, I think it's remarkable. I think it's a great use of repurposing. I've always expressed to whoever is sitting in the mayor's chair that Caldwell, even as it grows, even at this size, has the ability to be nimble when it needs to be nimble. If it spots an opportunity or a wise idea kind of percolates to the surface, it can react, and I think that's strategic. It's not so embroiled in its past or starry-eyed about the future that it can't make a wise decision. And I think by and large, in spite of the way that City Council has been running for the past year, I think by and large they do make wise decisions. It's the ancillary white noise in the background that we focus on, when in fact the decisions being made are pretty smart.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Okay. Well, Jim, was there anything else that you feel like is worth touching on, or something that we missed?
I don't think so. I'm so appreciative of the city for the opportunity that it's given Sharon and I to call this place our home. We've been here 20 plus years, but we still feel like newcomers. I appreciate the fact that relationships run so deep in this town. When we first got here, we took an older couple out to lunch at Mr. V's, and we walked in, sat down, and all of a sudden the older gentleman got up and went across the room and talked to another older gentleman. And he came back to the table. I said, "How did you know him?" He said, "Oh, we were in third grade together." And in a big city, that doesn't happen. Those things don't happen. So the strength of relationships throughout the years, I've come to really see and appreciate. So there's that, and I think by and large, the spirit of Caldwell Caldwell has the desire to do good, to do right, to do the wise thing, to create, playing fields that are level for people. It doesn't put up obstacles. I just really appreciate the environment here and the fact that this is our home.
Yeah. Amen.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Jim. Thank you for your time, and
Sure.
thank you for just giving us your perspective on so many things.
You're welcome, Brian. Thank you.